All right, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good night. It is Sunday, October the 5th, 2025. Ecologist show here. We've got Peter, the Prophet Peter, the Prophet Peter,
The
from
prophet.
all the way from somewhere in the southern part of Mexico. And he is going to continue his Sunday series talking about fiction, fakery and fiction. And we've been doing this for what, 6 weeks or so?
I think so.
Yeah, we've been going a long time. It's different. It's pretty interesting. Our forged fake history. We're. What is your central thesis? Do you think? The overarching thesis.
Uh, that's a really tough question because I'm not only interested in exposing fakery, but in creating a new reality. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah, very ambitious man.
okay. What's the new reality comprised of? What can we? What are we hoping for here?
Um, a lot more fun and less work,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. A lot closer to nature. Um, Living in the South would be part of it, where you don't have to pay for heating and depend on the big boys to keep you warm and alive. Um,
Okay.
no, I just feel like the South is where we belong. Semi-tropical, tropical areas where you can
Thrive
take
in the cold
thrive.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and take care of yourself, not be dependent on others who um, inevitably take advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Um, I'm having some trouble with the share screen. I'm trying to get my file on. Just a moment.
Okay.
Um, yeah, today is, again, there is literature involved, but there's a heavy focus today on architecture,
Okay.
the Pantheon in Rome.
The Roman Pantheon. Okay. Do I
Yeah,
even know what that is? I have to look it up.
yeah, it's a fascinating building. Whatever happened inside, we don't know. Like most old buildings, they didn't leave any furniture behind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we have to guess a little bit about what happened inside these buildings. But there are enough cryptic clues in the architecture and in linguistics, the names, and in literature, so-called ancient literature. So I've been putting all that evidence together and making a strong argument that the Roman Pantheon was a human cooking device.
Whoa. Okay, I'm looking at it now. It's in Rome, right?
Yeah.
Where are the ovens?
We'll get there. I know. This is it's one huge oven.
Magrippa LF Coster Tiwim Fecit. That's the Latin or Italian inscription on the outside.
Yeah, I haven't analyzed that one.
Wow. Look at all these blurred out faces on Google Street View here.
Yeah, I'm busy trying to scroll to the right spot in my
Okay.
text before I set it up for us. Share it.
I'm looking at the picture from 3 years ago, and everyone's got their camera videoing and taking pictures of every single thing. Oh, I got the people with the face diapers from 3 years ago. That's disturbing.
Yeah, we don't need memories of that.
No, this would have been 2002, it says here. So I guess the face diapering was still going on. How's everyone in the chat today? Fake Uki saying hello. Hi, Uki. Let's see if anyone is on the FacoTube. I better log into FacoTube and see what's going on there. We're talking to Prophet Peter from Mexico. We're going to talk about the Pantheon. Going to see what Peter's up to on that topic.
Mhm.
And we have a few people in FacoTube right now. Don't forget the FacoTube chat is not connected to the Restream chat. So if you're over there, then you're on your own basically. So I do check in on that occasionally, and I can't believe it's Sunday already. Next week I'll be most likely off. Just have to make some arrangements on a few things, but just giving you a heads up now. We're going to be off next week, taking a break.
I got it.
So make a note of that, Peter, if you don't mind. If you can remember, if you caught that.
Once more.
Next week we'll be off probably.
Okay.
I'll let you know if we're on, but right now the default is off.
Okay.
We'll be off all week. Everyone, take a week off the Fakeologist if you want. Do something else with your time. Okay, we got your screen sharing. Everything is good. Your sound's pretty good.
All right.
Only a slight buzzing on the line, but at least you're not echoey. I'll take a buzz for an echo.
Mm-hmm.
Slight buzz.
A lot of people like buzzes.
Hmm. Okay, now this is your theory about the Pantheon.
Yes, and this is going to be fun.
Okay, where did you come up with this idea?
I'm not sure. I think it began with my curiosity about the oculus in the top of the dome.
Mm-hmm.
It is the world's biggest unreinforced dome. So I think that means it has no steel or iron in reinforcing it. But the top of it is a opening. I think I forgot the size. It's quite large, some 25 yards wide.
This is the Pantheon?
Yes. And that circular opening doesn't exist in any other building with a dome. Experts claim it was put there to allow hot air to escape. I don't buy that because no other domed building needs that. Generally, these giant stone buildings don't overheat. And rain is falling in. It is designed, the floor is designed for the rain to stream away into hidden gutters. But the mystery remained to me. What was the purpose of this? Why let rain in rather unnecessarily? They could have put a copper cap on the top that allowed the air to escape and would stop the rain. We do that with little chimneys. Yeah, so I started to wonder about this strange building. And one thing led to another, let us say. I think the big revelation was maybe they put a giant lens, a magnifying glass in the oculus. The word oculus is actually from the Latin word for eye.
Yes.
So, giant
There's an Oculus at the World Trade Center. Did you know that?
No, yeah. An oculus at the, you mean the deceased World Trade Center?
No, they rebuilt. They put the Oculus there. I'll show it to you.
Oh, okay.
This is it here.
One moment.
It's their new transportation center they built there. They call it the Oculus.
And any reason for that name?
I do not know, but here it is here. The history of the Oculus.
Well, um,
7 buildings were destroyed. I think there were 9, but 2 of them weren't. The World Trade Center. The Oculus was designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. He intended it to resemble a dove leaving a child's hands. You can see it in the tail, in the tall cross steel columns that make up the exterior. Together, this series of columns forms a pair of 350-foot wings. Why was it named the Oculus? The name comes from the strip of windows or skylights along the spine of the roof.
mhm,
Oculus is the Latin word for eye, which in architecture refers to a round or eye-like opening with a view of the sky.
right.
Take a look up through the windows and you'll see Freedom Tower. It's inspiring.
Okay. Well,
There you go.
it's a little reference, allusion to the Pantheon. Curious.
Well, probably, yeah.
I
So
think so.
there it is there.
So, well, my suspicion that a giant lens was put there was also based on readings of ancient literature that claims giant mirror arrays and giant lens were weaponized to burn Greek ships. And as we are familiar with the war is fake theme, I disregard that and wondered, well, what really were these things used for? I don't think they just invented the idea for nothing. It probably existed. But what was the true use, true purpose? And well, today's presentation may provide an example. So,
Okay.
shall I begin?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, the internet has a few videos and web pages about using mirrors and oversized magnifying glasses to create temperatures high enough to melt stone or metal. Could we ever build a death ray? Is an article published by the world's leading propaganda distributor, the BBC. It reminds us that the ancient and Greek philosopher and mathematician Archimedes proposed building a giant mirror array to focus sunlight into a deadly beam capable of destroying the Roman navy. And it reminds us that Nikola Tesla attempted to create a death ray with electricity. What if these stories were actually based on a death ray device that existed and was used not before the Renaissance and perhaps not after the machine revolution? So,
I kind of remember, I just wanted to bring it up that there is the world's biggest solar farm is full of mirrors. Or sorry, there's a
yes.
concentrated solar power. Have you ever heard of that?
No, but they use mirrors to concentrate sunlight,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Can I show it to you for 1 sec? It is kind of interesting, and I just want to relate it to this. I don't want to interrupt, but your thing reminded me of this.
Yeah, if you like. There's
South
also.
of Morocco's mighty Atlas Mountains.
What's that? Sorry.
No, I didn't know you were going to use audio.
Oh, okay.
There was a Portuguese Catholic priest who, I think during the Chicago Fair of, I don't know, 1902, whatever, long ago, presented a giant mirror array that could melt stone. So this stuff has history, precedent.
Yeah.
So,
It says thousands of mirrors reflect the sunshine up at a spectacular tower featuring a unique molten salt system that allows energy to be stored for up to 8 hours. How crazy is that? So this is very similar to what you're talking about.
yes, but the purpose not so nefarious.
Yeah, but isn't this crazy?
Mm-hmm. And quite simple principles, mirrors and lens.
Yeah.
All right. History of the Pantheon. According to our fake history, Rome's Pantheon was first built by Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa. The Pantheon was a part of the complex created by him in 29 to 19 BC, which included 3 buildings, the Baths of Agrippa, the Basilica of Neptune, and the Pantheon proper. Agrippa was the son of Lucius, whose name is a diminutive for Lucifer, the bringer of light. According to fake historians, the gray granite columns used in the Pantheon's pronaos, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one.
Pronos.
Yeah,
Yeah, Pronos. Yeah.
were quarried in Egypt at Mons Claudianus in the eastern mountains. Each was 11.9 meters, 39 feet tall, 1.5 meters or 4 feet 11 inches in diameter, and 60 tons or 59 long tons, 66 short tons in weight. I'm providing the British imperial numbers,
Yeah.
because they do tend to reflect numerology
The occult numbers. Yeah.
much better. Yeah, which again, highlights the British importance to this fake world we live in. The origin being mostly British, I think.
Mm-hmm.
These stones were dragged more than 100 kilometers from the quarry to the river on wooden sledges. This is all in fake history. They were floated by barge down the Nile when the water level was high during the spring floods, and then transferred to vessels to cross the Mediterranean Sea to the Roman port of Ostia. There they were transferred back onto barges and pulled up the Tiber River to Rome. After being unloaded near the mausoleum of Augustus, the site of the Pantheon was still about 700 meters away. Thus, it was necessary to either drag them or to move them on rollers to the construction site. Yes, that is the story of the original.
Oh, I was going to ask the same question. Was there no granite in Italy?
I know.
I thought about that too. Wouldn't it be easier?
Yeah, and there's a good chance that they're actually casting granite and other kinds of stone with their special recipes. They don't have to even quarry it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the idea of how do you drag 66 tons?
I know. Each being 66 tons. It's crazy.
It would make quite a mark in the whatever it was dragged on.
Indeed. And the dangers of breaking a piece.
So why are they trying to tie Egypt into this, I wonder? Is that just part of their mystery Babylon mystery religion where everything is Egyptian?
Yeah, sure. That makes everything more mystical. Granite isn't especially rare. A quick internet search produced information about nearly 100 granite quarries in Italy. According to imaginative archaeologists who believe the Roman classics, this first Pantheon in Rome was burned. Yes, they believe stone burns, and that the present building's construction began in 114 AD under Trajan, 4 years after it was destroyed by fire for the second time. This is actually a very common theme in the history of ancient buildings, claiming that they were built. Yeah,
everything's always burning to the ground. All the major cities burn.
Yeah, and
get rebuilt.
There is a lot of truth to it, but some of these buildings just never had a ancient original. They are not so ancient. I don't know, not more than 800 years, I would say, possibly 400 or 500 years. Sounds like the story of a so it was destroyed supposedly twice, and I'm making the connection to The Windmill in Animal Farm by George Orwell.
Right.
According to a faintly legible inscription in the existing architrave, the building was repaired in 202 by Emperor Caesar Lucius. Can inscriptions be made intentionally faintly legible? You don't say. Maybe to support the script, the narrative of an ancient history. They tell us that during the Middle Ages, the Pantheon was converted into a Catholic church. I suspect a much later date, something post-Renaissance, maybe near the Industrial Revolution. When cities were open to the masses, pun intended. Again, that's referring back to, or connects to the Tartarian theory that Tartaria existed before the Industrial Revolution. But the imaginary Paul the Deacon recorded the spoliation of the building by the Emperor Constans II, who visited Rome in July 663. Apparently, the scholars didn't notice the joke. Constans is a name derived from the word constant. We discussed this last week. Of course, nothing changed. The building didn't exist before the Renaissance. Researchers doubt that the wooden beam frame to which the bronze parts of the doors are attached could be of ancient age. So there is wood, but it's only the door frame or frames. They think it could be of ancient age and lean towards the belief that the doors underwent substantial reconstruction in the Middle Ages or during the time of Pope Urban VIII. This latter date is plausible. I assume wooden door frames are needed in order to secure hinges. However, the 1600s, which is also the time when lens crafting was perfected, is also the time the entire Pantheon was created, in my opinion.
In the 1600s.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that this giant lens was central to its construction, was the hope. Without it, it didn't function. So therefore, if lens crafting didn't exist before the 1600s, the building didn't exist either. After the Renaissance, the Pantheon became the site of several important burials. Among those buried there are the painters Raphael and Annibale Carracci, the composer Arcangelo Corelli, and the architect Baldassare Peruzzi. Wow, who believes this? What Catholic would want to be buried in a former Roman temple? Why would the Catholic Church honor 4 artists with such privileged burials? This doesn't make sense. Perhaps we should look for an explanation in the names. Raphael is also the name of an angel. Arcangelo's name resembles archangel, and both their names have the Hebrew word for God in their names, El. Both Annibale sounds like cannibal.
Mm-hmm.
And both Annibale and Baldassare have abbreviations of the name of the god Baal in their names. Could this be a coincidence? Could this be a hint? Angels and cannibals? Angels for me is also a cryptic reference to English people. The word England closely resembles angels, not in its current form, but in other older forms, more so. And of course, the word cannibal will be critical to my reading soon. What could all this mean? Well, let's look at the design and the function of this building. According to fake historians, Agrippa's Pantheon included 3 buildings aligned from south to north. The Baths of Agrippa, the Basilica of Neptune, and the Pantheon or Rotunda. That is a joke. The Pantheon was created to bake, boil, or incinerate victims, not to provide people with comfortable baths. The Baths of Agrippa. And Neptune being a water god, is god of the seas. I think this is, again, the inversion of the truth. So liars love to tell the opposite of the truth. In 609, the Byzantine Emperor Phocas gave the building to Pope Boniface IV, who converted it into a Christian church and consecrated it.
Consecrated, yeah.
Yes, it to Saint Mary and the martyrs. Who was martyred in the Pantheon? And how were they murdered? By sunshine? Apparently, 28 cartloads of holy relics, bones of martyrs, were said to have been removed from the catacombs and placed in a porphyry basin beneath the high altar. We don't have any empirical evidence that such relics existed, but if the Pantheon's rotunda was a human cooking device, we can certainly understand why the lying murderers would write stories about many cartloads of human bones accumulating in the Pantheon,
Mm.
just not taking credit for creating those bones. No, blaming the Romans. The pediment was decorated with relief sculpture, probably of gilded bronze. Archaeologists suspect that the holes marking the location of clamps that held the sculpture suggest it was an eagle within a wreath. I suggest that the sculpture was of a circle, an oculus, or rotunda, within which was a burning victim. It's just playful guessing right now, but things get more serious. Upon entering the current Pantheon's rotunda, visitors are greeted by an enormous round room under a dome. Historians believe the oculus, a hole measuring 8 meters, so I exaggerated, 8 meters in diameter at the top of the dome, was never covered, allowing rain to fall through the ceiling and onto the floor. What is the function of that hole, or oculus? Experts claim that it allows hot air to rise out of the building. This is not convincing because similar domed buildings do not need holes in their domes to keep their interiors cool. Secondly, if a hole was necessary for this purpose, why didn't the architects cover the hole with a raised lid to keep out the rain but let hot air escape? It would be a simple design element to construct with copper or bronze. Surely this would not be too difficult for architects and engineers who gave the Pantheon the world's biggest non-reinforced dome. Maybe a lid once existed over the oculus. The WC hinted at this, for according to their imaginary Paul the Deacon, the imaginary Emperor Constans visited Rome in July 663, very hot month, and did this, pulled down everything that in ancient times had been made of metal. Let me just skip over that. He took everything away to Constantinople, all the metal. So maybe there was a lid once upon a time, and this is kind of mythologizing or creating a legend about it rather than direct truth. Some numerology here. 663 has 2 6s, but 663 reduces to the third 6th.
You're saying they picked the years just for the numerology?
I do believe so, yeah. 6 plus 6 plus 3 is 15, and 1 plus 5 is 6. There's your missing 6. We have 2 6s plus the 3 numbers together produce a 6. Let's imagine that the oculus was actually designed to illuminate or see something. I say see because the word oculus in Latin means eye. However, the entire rotunda has the dimensions of a perfect sphere because the diameter of the dome is the same as the height from the top of the dome to the floor. This means it contains a perfect sphere, like my nearly perfectly spherical eyeballs. If the rotunda is the eyeball, the oculus is the pupil, permitting light to enter the eye, the interior of the building. Quite symmetrical. What was the purpose of this eyeball and its pupil? Scholars suggest that the Pantheon, like the pyramids, served as some kind of astronomical device. It has a near northern orientation, and the oculus projects sunlight into the monument. And recent remarks, probably intended to misdirect us, allege that every April the 21st at noon, when the oculus directed sunlight into the doorway, the Parilia was celebrated inside the Pantheon. What was the Parilia? April 21st was the legendary day of Rome's founding by Romulus in 753 BC. Now we know we are in the realm of deception. However, the imaginary Parilia celebration hint at the true function of the Pantheon. Let's look deeper and remember my allegation that humans were cooked inside the Pantheon. Allegedly, at sunrise on April 21st, the Parilia ceremony would begin with a shepherd purifying sheep by constructing a bonfire of straw, olive branches, laurel, and sulfur. The noises produced by this burning combination were interpreted as a beneficial omen. What sick imagination concocted this? The shepherd would jump through this flame, dragging his sheep along with him. After consuming a special drink, the shepherd, like Jesus pulling his sheep, would leap through the fire 3 times. In an urban version, a calf was removed from the womb and burnt. Again, we have burning. And
Yeah, they love their holocausts.
They do. Then the blood of a horse was mixed with the ashes of the calf and consumed. All right, well, eating what was cooked. There we're getting closer to cannibalism. Sounds like witchcraft. No, sounds like madness, but it all hints at the cooking function of the Pantheon. Indeed, the above story seems to hint that the brazen bull ceremony was held inside the Pantheon. Do you know the brazen bull?
No.
No, it was a bull made of bronze, in which a victim was inserted and a fire lit beneath it, according to the myths. And there were holes in the muzzle of the bull, so when this victim screamed, his voice screams would be distorted, and I guess they found that amusing or fun.
These are sick guys.
These are sick stories and probably sick guys, yeah. And I'm suspecting maybe there was a brazen bull inside the Pantheon that received the heat from the giant lens. But to continue my reading, contrary to ancient texts, the brazen bull was not set over a wood fire. It was heated by another source of heat. Now, someone did some good research on the direction of the sunlight on April 21st, and noted that it is not the only day when light reaches the doorway, the threshold. There are several other days, so the myth doesn't really hold water. And I'm sure there was enough sunlight on many days to burn people, cook people. So this was the researcher who produced these sketches, drawings.
Okay.
Gilles Montabot also questions the Perilia legend. His studies reveal that April 21st cannot hold special significance because the entrance to the Pantheon's rotunda is illuminated both on days prior and after that date. So the date isn't special. What he failed to note is that April 21st is usually the 111th day of the year, which is a very special number for Freemasons, for whom the number 11 represents 2 pillars, in this case, the 2 pillars on either side of the entrance to the Pantheon's rotunda, exactly where the light falls on this day, on those days. Perhaps the extra 1 in number 111 represents the person, to be placed between the pillars. Additionally, 245 days remain in most years after April 21st, and 245 reduces to 11. So I'm still not convinced that April 21st is the day for any celebration, but the numbers speak of Masonic, betray the Masonic fingerprint. Why would a person be placed between the pillars? On a day, the sun shines through the oculus and illuminates the area between the pillars. How does this relate to the fire and burning flesh imagery of the Perilia festival? Could the answer explain why the oculus exists or existed and why it was not covered with the oculus is the opening, yes, it exists, and is not covered with a metal umbrella type cover. Of course, it wouldn't be. They would need that oculus and a lens inside it uncovered. Let's imagine for a moment that once a year the oculus is fitted with a giant concave lens. How much heat could a lens measuring more than 8 meters generate? Tiny 3-centimeter diameter magnifying glasses, aka lens, can generate enough heat to cause paper to combust, if designed so that the lens forces rays of sunlight to intersect or focus 1 meter above the threshold of the entrance, what would that energy do to a human body? Would it be incinerated? Well, I suspect they didn't want incineration. This was a cooking festival. I suspect something more gruesome. According to the Bible, the Temple of Solomon contained huge cauldrons large enough to fit more than one person. The Bible's authors did not dare explain their function. Yeah, I will make a lot more connections to the Temple of Solomon later. Now, we can also guess at the true purpose of the ancient practice of anointing British kings and Jesus. And we can now guess the true reason why the old woman poured olive oil on Jesus' head before he died, and his body and blood became spiritual, in quotation marks, sustenance.
Is that for cooking them?
Yes, I'm suspecting that these are preparations for cooking.
Oh,
You got to grease your meat. Oil your meat.
right. So it cooks evenly.
Right. And maybe for flavor anyway. There's a bit of note on lens crafting originating in 1590. How was the lens placed in the oculus? With the help of an airship? Maybe. Together, lens and airship were the origin of the expression deus es machina, that's my guess now, which reputedly came from Greek dramaturgy and meant God from the machine. Of course, all that is invention and encryption for what was done with, this is the Roman version, due machine, meaning two machines, the lens and the airship at the Pantheon. And yes, it was for a kind of drama, not the kind on stage, and not with fake deaths and Greek tragedy, but real deaths. Now we can understand the true meaning of the name Pantheon. The prefix pan does not refer to the pagan god Pan, whose image and symbols are nowhere in the Pantheon. Nor does the prefix pan mean all, as it does in Latin, giving us the Latin Greek word pantheos, meaning all gods. For at best, the Pantheon was dedicated to only two gods, Mars and Venus. The true meaning of the name Pantheon is Pan of the gods, for it is literally the place where humans were fried as meat is fried in a pan. Of course, pan is not a Latin or Italian word. It is instead a Germanic word, but that supports other evidence that the real empire was and is ruled by Germanic aristocrats. Pan, a little etymology, broad, shallow vessel of metal used for domestic purposes. Middle English, pane, maybe, from Old English, same word looks like. Earlier, pone, and so on. All right, I often consult etymon line.
Okay, is that for etymology? Obviously, etym online.
Right.
Interesting. I should look at that. Etym online.
So my last concluding note for this subchapter: within a pan, chefs will sometimes sear meat, or sear spelled as Seer. Sear meat with fire, eye, again the eye, the oculus, all these. I think English is very highly artificial, constructed by these sickos. As we mentioned a long time ago about the word morning and morning.
Yeah, we shouldn't say good morning in the
No, yeah,
because that really implies how is your morning over.
yeah.
Or it's a good
Enjoy
time to mourn. Yeah,
like you like death, you like dead people and funerals.
yeah.
All right. So that was the guts of the presentation. Now I'm going outside to other literature,
Okay.
everything from Bible to Superman.
So who were they cooking?
That is the question, right? They weren't cooking each other, and maybe they were raising humans for this purpose. I suspect they're not making any effort to abduct people. That's just too much trouble. they're probably raising us on a human farm. I spoke about that in another chapter, another book, I think, or maybe this one, in Homer's The Odyssey. Odysseus and his men land on an island that belongs to Helios, another sun god. And on this island are his cattle being raised for him, and no one was supposed to touch them. I think this is a cryptic hint that these people, these Illuminati, sun weaponizers, are raising humans on an island. Well, we've spoken about the hidden island before, but perhaps on more than one island. This was originally very much a maritime empire, dependent on ships. So I'm sure they found plenty of uninhabited islands, or islands they rendered uninhabited, and could easily raise humans there. It's not pleasant stuff.
Indian Summer says spirit cooking like Marina Abramovich.
Absolutely. Her name and spirit cooking comes to mind to me too. I haven't made the connection in the book yet, but yeah.
Okay. I never really followed that one. That's sort of grim.
Oh, she's a sick woman, and yeah, she's fond of using meat in her art.
Oh, okay.
So it really isn't spirit; it is meat cooking, I suppose. But anyway, let's continue. I think a lot of, well, I won't. Let's not bother the Christians. How does this relate to the Bible? In that book, the story about Samson alleges that he was tied between the pillars of the temple of Dagon. Samson is an anagram for masons. What happened to Samson while he was between the pillars? By the way, the doorway to the rotunda of the Pantheon has false pillars, and there are around the outside of the, well, within the rotunda, there are, what are they called? Not niches, but little rooms. I forgot the word. And each of them has a pillar on each side. Well, what happened to Samson while he was between the pillars? In another inversion of the truth, he remained intact while he, with superhuman strength, pulled down the pillars and destroyed a temple. Unlike masons who build temples, Samson destroyed a temple. Thus, they invert the facts. The fire theme is, however, present in the Samson stories. His parents offer a burning sacrifice to their god. Samson lights the tails of foxes on fire. We mentioned foxes before, as the word fox being numerically 666.
Yeah.
And Dagon resembles dragon, the legendary fire-exhaling monster. In a later story, the god Dagon's hands are found on the threshold of his temple, outside the doorway of his temple. His body is somehow destroyed, allegedly by the approach of the ark, which I speak about elsewhere as a kind of electric device, with the word arc as in arc welding using electricity. The two pillars flanking the entrance to the rotunda of the Pantheon are actually bronze pilasters, but obviously pilasters resemble pillars. In the Bible, we find a curious parallel in Solomon's temple, for he cast two pillars of brass of 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. 1 Kings 7:15. See the similarities? 2 is the same as 2, what am I talking about? 2 pillars of brass, and I'm losing myself in all these numbers. 2 pilasters are similar to 2 pillars. Okay, It's simple, yeah. And brass and bronze are very similar. Okay. Additionally, the pilasters in the Pantheon are fluted, and Solomon's temple had bronze pilasters with fluting, surmounted by Tuscan capitals flanking both sides of the doors. Missing part of the quotation there. One quotation mark. Had bronze pilasters with fluting. Anyway, I have to double check that. The Temple of Solomon's doors were overlaid with gold. The doors to the rotunda of the Pantheon are made of bronze. I need not remind you that both gold and bronze are metals and are rarely used to make or cover doors. The Pantheon features stone anchisus leaves on their Corinthian pillars. Solomon's temple featured carvings of palm trees and flowers. Both the Temple of Solomon and the Pantheon featured cherubim. 1 Kings 6:31 describes the doorways of Solomon's temple between the outer sanctum and the inner shrine as having 5 mezuzot. Experts don't understand the word mezuzot. However, the same verse in the King James Version reads, "The lintel and the side posts were a 5th part of the wall." That is a strange ratio, maybe. Stranger still was the need to express that ratio. Coincidentally, some experts believe the Pantheon was designed after the golden ratio. So both the Temple of Solomon and the Pantheon may be associated with special ratios. Too many coincidences for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Pantheon's rotunda is designed around a perfect sphere, whereas Solomon's temple contains a perfect cube known as the oracle. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length and 20 cubits in breadth and 20 cubits in the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. Square and sphere are 3-dimensional versions of square and circle, which are Masonic motifs. Is the Pantheon Masonic? Well, we might ask the same about Temple of Solomon. Interpreters of the Pantheon notice that circles and squares form the unifying theme of the interior design. The checkerboard floor pattern contrasts with the concentric circles of the square coffers in the dome. They failed to note, I guess, that the square and circle theme is a Masonic theme, one represented by its square and compass logo.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers 11, 13, 33, and 666 are signature numbers of Freemasonry. Let's find them in the stories they wrote about the Pantheon. There's quite a list here. This can be a bit tedious.
But you found them everywhere.
I
Suffice it
did.
to say.
Right.
So the Masons are really the group behind all this.
Yes, but I would
Stick history.
put this caveat in that assertion that it's possible that the people on top are just using.
Oh, they use the builders to build these buildings for their stories.
Yeah.
So these buildings were really the reason why they're still standing today in some decent form is because they were only built in the 1600s, and that's when they
Yes,
bringing all these stories to life.
Right, and I'm not sure all of them. The 1600s, some may predate that. I'm half convinced that maybe this empire began 900 years ago, maybe not with the same sophistication that we see in the Pantheon and cathedrals in Europe, but yeah, it may be quite a bit older than 1600. Yeah, a lot of these are. These are all not. Some of these are from ancient classical literature or history, and a lot of other ones are from the Bible. All of them, full of Masonic numbers. So we can't give the Bible a special place in ancient literature. It's all the same. It is special in terms of complexity. I would grant it that much, but not more than that.
You're saying it's not ancient and old.
Correct. And it's not written by some special people different from the people who wrote Roman and Greek literature. No, it's the same people who have created all this fake history for us. Fake history, fake literature. And now I guess, I don't know what to call this phenomenon of people visiting these sites and gawking at them and believing, is that fake tourism? It's very naive tourism for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We can do a little.
We got about 5-10 minutes left.
Okay. We can do a little bit on Egypt and Superman. Have to be a quick finish. All right.
That's good.
Like Samson's story, Egyptian myths may also be inspired by the Pantheon. The myth about the Eye of Ra, wrath maybe, is about an extremely destructive eye that threatens to consume all human beings. In the myth of the Eye of Ra, the sun god Ra sent his eye, incarnated as the lion goddess Sekhmet, to punish the people who blasphemed him. The eye, Sekhmet, also drank the blood of her victims. Scholars tell us that through such myths, the ancient Egyptians expressed the duality of creation and destruction. Yeah, somehow the sun is also destructive, and emphasized the importance of harmony and balance. Again, somehow scholars don't realize that duality and balance are Masonic concepts. The phoenix myth might take on new meaning if we imagine that the ashes of the incinerated slave human would be fed to other slaves who would, at least figuratively, reincarnate the executed slave, or maybe just fed to the aristocrats who would reincarnate, I guess. Not that they would want to, so it doesn't make absolute sense. The myth of the all-destroying eye was revived by the superhero comic genre. Several superheroes and supervillains across comics, movies, and other media have eyes with superpowers, often involving abilities like energy projection, enhanced vision, or mind control. Here are some notable examples. Superman's eyes grant him multiple abilities, including X-ray vision. He can see through solid objects except for lead and heat vision, the important one. He emits powerful beams of heat from his eyes to burn or melt objects. All right, enough on that, I think. And both telescopic and microscopic vision, as if he had special lens for eyes. Interestingly, these abilities stem from his Kryptonian physiology, powered by Earth's yellow sun. Cyclops emits powerful concussive energy beams from his eyes, which he cannot control without his ruby quartz visor, almost like a lens. Well, it is a lens. In Greek myths, Cyclopes have one eye. So, the same people are responsible for, the same cult is responsible for producing this literature as the ancient, so-called ancient literature.
It's more of the same.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's interesting. Never really looked at it that way.
Superman. And he goes crazy, right, in some stories, which I'm not so familiar with, but...
I'm not a big comic book fan, as my listeners know, or I've seen maybe a couple Superman movies. There are quite a few of them, I would guess, at this point. Like so many theme movies, they just can't get enough of them.
Just concluding
wrap her up.
Paragraph. Yeah. If, as I propose, the Pantheon was used to perform human flesh cooking, I'm going to change that, and consumption rituals, and if the Pantheon's secret history is important to understanding the Bible, We can now appreciate much better why the Bible mentions burnt offerings in 260 verses in the King James Bible. Curiously, the number 260 reduces to 18, which represents the 3 sixes.
Or Chi, yeah. Miles Mathis calls 18 Chi.
Chi, why is that?
I think it's the Jewish number or symbol.
Okay.
Let's look that up in your etymology thing, maybe.
The word Chi, but how is it spelled?
Thi.
Oh, Thi? Never heard of it.
No, I think it's Chi. Chi.
CHI.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, it says T here. You're right. Maybe.
I don't know, but Chi sounds like Chinese philosophy.
It's the number 18 that's in all these psyops as well.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, the Bible was, clearly it's a huge book, and for the people to make it with exactly 260 mentions of burnt offerings, wow, like it makes you wonder, did they have a computer? Like, I can't do my complex writing without instant deletion and copy and pasting and counting how many words and so on. I can't imagine doing it without a computer. But that's another topic.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where Miles Mathis. Everyone knows. You read his.
I have read some of his work. Yeah.
One of them is where he's talking about 18 all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a wrap for this week for me.
Okay, very good, very interesting. Huh? I've never heard of the whole concept of the Pantheon like that. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. And next week I could do similar things with different temples, shorter passages, not such long examinations, including just recently our Notre Dame.
Okay.
So there's a lot more material related to cannibalism. Yes, unfortunately.
All right, that's interesting. Well, yeah, I think we'll be off next week for the good listenership to make a note, but we'll follow up after that. So,
Okay.
what will the title of the next show be?
Yeah, you have to give me a moment to. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing some unique stuff. I've never heard of this before ever.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
I like to do the unique stuff. If it's out there already, I don't want to.
I don't think anyone's talking about the Pantheon and the Oculus and concentrating.
Yeah.
So this is really for offerings, or is it for torture, or for punishment, or just offerings to the gods?
I don't think the people in charge actually believe much in gods. I think, well, I could be wrong. They are so crazy. So, what kind of gods? Satan, Saturn, who knows? Yeah, and there, a student of mine, a young fellow, asked me, why wouldn't they just use fire, and why did they need this complex system, this architecture and lens? Why not just use fire? Well, these people are masters of technology, and using this complex device creates a kind of mystical aura. It's using the sun again. The sun is so central to their mythology, and weaponizing nature against itself. Well, you could do that with fire too, I suppose. But the sun really is the life giver, and they've turned it into a death maker. So I'm sure they like that. It's a death cult, as you know. So.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Pete, for that. And hope you have a good move. when you're, I guess you're still in process?
No, it's done. I just need internet. So,
Okay.
yep.
So you have to wait a while for them to hook it up.
Yeah, I live in a village and my house is a bit off the road. So it's not easy for them.
You get a wire, I guess, or is it wireless?
There is a wire and it's stringed on a tree.
Wow. Third world stuff, huh? Did they use copper or fiber down there?
I have no clue. No idea.
But it's on a tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Reminds me, I was watching a video of a YouTuber who went to the highest mine in Peru, 17,000 feet up.
Mhm.
And it's just a tangled web of tubing for getting water from the glacier, and I guess a lot of power lines all over the place, and they're literally right above your head.
Ooh.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, things are a bit crazy here.
Yeah, you're not quite the third world, but you're sort of close in a way. But the weather's good.
Weather's awesome. One day you'll come.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, my parents are in in the middle of Mexico. That's where they go.
Right.
Today we had a hot day here on the North Shore of Lake Ontario. It was over 30 Celsius here. Pretty
Whoa.
cool. Yeah. And this old meat sack went in the lake. It was actually 24 in the lake
No kidding. 24.
in October. So if this
Yeah.
is global warming, sign me up. Where can I get more?
Yeah.
This
Bring
is
the
awesome.
Nature loves warm weather. Trust me too.
Yeah, human beings thrive in warm weather.
I think we're designed for it with these special skin we have.
Yeah, we need sun as well.
Yep.
And that's why we get ill in the winter. It's not because we're contagious, it's because we don't have sun. And we need sun for whatever bodily functions create whatever bodily proteins. I'm not a big supporter of the vitamin D story. I think it's just a story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they know half the things that our bodies use to create good health. Personally,
Yeah.
They make up stories about vitamins.
Yeah, it's a convenient way of thinking because it allows them to make all these vitamins and so on. You don't need the sun; just eat a pill,
Yeah.
have a drop.
What were we talking about on the audio chat today? We're talking about we're talking about acetaminophen in Tylenol,
Mhm.
and where it comes from coal tar.
Yeah.
Coal tar. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And now there's it's crazy. Coal tar, and then there was so that's Tylenol, and the other one was aspirin. That's acetylsilic acid.
Wasn't that from the willow tree bark?
Yeah.
Oh.
And now they say they can make acetaminophen from pine trees. In other words, they probably all of the medicine comes from plants in some form or other,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretend that or maybe they say it comes from oil, which is, they say, more rare and harder to come by. But
Yeah, didn't Unreal talk about the special substance that came from sperm whales, allegedly, but he said it was
maybe.
actually a petroleum product.
Yeah, exactly. So makes more sense that all medicine is
Fakery.
it's just copies of nature. But you can't patent nature. That's the biggest problem.
Well, yes, and you can't profit from it. That's what you mean.
Yeah. Well, you can't patent it for sure. Anything natural is not patentable, which means anyone can make it.
It's the story of cannabis. It's too easy to grow.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, alrighty. Well, have a good one. Thanks a lot, and have a good week or two.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care, everyone. And don't forget fakeologist.com/donate. And we'll see you maybe tomorrow. It might be a day off tomorrow. We'll see. Take care. Bye-bye.